If you've spent any time at all in the business world lately, you've probably felt like you're just drowning in information about artificial intelligence. It's a constant flood, right? New tools, new claims. It's overwhelming.
It really is.
But the sources we've been looking at for you today, they offer this really critical correction. They argue that all this talk about, the specific features, the chatbots, the image generators, it kind of misses the entire point.
Hmm.
AI isn't just some shiny new tool you can plug in. It's the fundamental infrastructure, the strategic backbone of a modern business that actually wants to scale.
And our mission for this deep dive is really to reframe how you think about all this. We need to move beyond seeing AI as just a shortcut and start understanding it as this powerful lever for total transformation.
That reframing seems absolutely essential because this is exactly where, according to the sources, these massive investments in AI just fail.
Exactly. Companies spend a fortune on the software, they expect some kind of miracle, and then when their messy, fragmented processes don't magically fix themselves, they blame the tech.
They bought a really expensive drill when they actually needed to redesign the entire foundation of the house.
That's the perfect analogy. We have to start thinking of AI as the comprehensive decision architecture.
Okay, let's run with that. The architecture metaphor. So if a business is an orchestra and all the different systems, HR, accounting, logistics, if those are the musicians, where does AI fit in?
It's the sheet music. It's the conductor's baton. It's
Right.
orchestrating the entire performance. Without it, you just have a bunch of brilliant musicians playing solos. It's chaos.
Right.
With AI, you're building intelligent, dynamic instructions. The sheet music
Yeah.
that guides all of those systems to play in harmony, to make decisions based on a real-time flow of data, not on manual handoffs.
Which prevents those bottlenecks from even forming in the first place.
That's the goal.
So let's really unpack this. Why do so many businesses, even really sophisticated ones, consistently get this wrong? What is the mistake in their thinking?
It really comes down to a misplaced focus. They get obsessed with the features. What can this specific AI tool do?
The shiny object.
Shiny object, exactly. Instead of focusing on the strategic outcomes, what can this entire intelligent system achieve once it's fully integrated? They see AI as a way to, speed up a process that's already broken, instead of seeing it as the way to fundamentally redesign that process from the ground up.
So the real difference is seeing AI as a piece of software versus seeing it as a systemic foundation.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And if you're building intelligent infrastructure, your main goal shifts. It's not just about automation anymore, doing task A a little bit faster. It's about replacing the structural human dependency.
What does that mean exactly? Human dependency.
It means you want to build systems that are truly intelligent, systems that can take in complex data, analyze the context, and then autonomously trigger the next correct action without a person needing to click approve or drag a file from one folder to another.
That's a huge conceptual leap. Let's make it more tangible. How does this architectural approach actually show up when you're tackling a real business challenge?
Okay, let's start with a really pervasive internal pain point, something every single organization deals with: onboarding new employees.
Yes. The sources describe the traditional way as, I think the phrase was, a massive bureaucratic slog.
That's putting it lightly.
It's not just the paperwork, right? It's the constant human coordination.
Yeah.
Getting system access, getting them on payroll, getting that first assignment ready. It's HR waiting on IT. Who's waiting on finance?
A multi-week exercise in frustration.
Yeah.
It's staggering how inefficient it is. Our sources were tracking cases where this administrative friction can take 4, sometimes even 6 weeks. And that's a huge drag on productivity. But more than that, it just crushes the enthusiasm of that new hire right when they should be at their most motivated.
So how does the architectural approach fix this? The sources quantify it pretty dramatically.
They do. They show how you can condense that whole complex multi-department ordeal into a streamlined 5-day process, sometimes even less.
Okay, 5 days versus 4 weeks. That sounds a little like the miracle hype we're trying to avoid. So how does the architecture actually deliver that? What's it doing?
It really comes down to leveraging 2 core capabilities. First is something called Intelligent Document Processing, or IDP. This is how the system can ingest and verify all the necessary paperwork, contracts, tax forms, and it does it autonomously. It pulls out the key data points and validates them without a human needing to look at it.
Okay, so that handles the paperwork flood. What's the second part?
The second, and this is the more important part, is robotic process automation, or RPA, which is guided by that decision architecture we talked about. So when the IDP validates a contract, that's the trigger. The architecture instantly tells RPA bots, to provision system access across, say, 5 different platforms all at once.
So it's happening in parallel, not in a sequence.
Exactly. It creates the user account in the HR system, it automatically assigns software licenses through the IT service desk, and it schedules the first payroll run in the finance system. There are no handoffs, just autonomous, predefined actions.
And the sources back this up with specific metrics, don't they? It's not just about saving time.
No, it's not. The key metric they track is time to productivity. How fast is that new person actually contributing value? By getting rid of the delays in system access and training, which can be, 75% of the total wait time, you see this direct measurable improvement in that time to productivity. The ROI is immediate.
That is a fantastic example. But it also brings us to what feels like the biggest challenge here: integration. The sources are, they're absolutely adamant that this only works if you have perfect systemic integration.
And this is the painful truth that so many companies try to ignore. You can buy the best AI on the planet, but if your systems are fragmented, if your HR system, your IT service desk, and your benefits platform don't share data seamlessly, in real time, the whole thing just collapses.
Why is that fragmentation so dangerous? I saw it called a compliance nightmare. What does that actually mean for a business?
It means risk, pure and simple. Compliance depends on having a single source of truth that you can trace. So if one system says an employee finished their mandatory training, but the audit system can't verify that because the two don't talk to each other, you have a gap. You have a problem.
Worse, a security issue.
A huge one.
Mm-hmm.
If a departing employee's access isn't revoked instantly and simultaneously across all 20 platforms they use, that is a massive security and compliance vulnerability. Fragmentation makes consistent, enterprise-wide decision-making impossible.
So it's not enough to just connect them. You have to build that intelligence layer on top that forces them to act as a single, cohesive entity.
That's it. The sources call this custom workflow development. It's the hard, upfront work. You're not just building a bridge between islands of information, as one source put it. You're creating a unified landmass where the data flows instantly, dictated by the architecture you've built. You're enforcing discipline on your systems.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so if we've tackled our internal systems, what happens when we apply that same architectural philosophy to how a business interacts with the outside world? Let's shift to customer support.
This is where the scale of the impact can become just enormous, especially for businesses that deal with a high volume of routine questions.
Right. Customer support teams are so often just buried under these repetitive transactional tasks. Where's my order? How do I make a return? And historically, you needed a human just to look up that information and read it back.
Exactly. And the sources detail this shift perfectly. AI chatbots today are not just glorified Q&A bots anymore. They're the decision architecture layer for your external interactions. They can handle those first response questions, process simple returns, and even do some basic upselling because they're connected directly to the back-end systems, to inventory, to logistics. They can execute transactions all by themselves.
They're not just answering, they're doing.
Precisely. They perform intelligent actioning, not just intelligent answering.
And what about the results? Is there hard data on this?
Oh, absolutely. The data is really compelling. For companies that get this architectural shift right, you see a 30 to 40% reduction in labor costs for those basic Tier 1 and Tier 2 support issues. But maybe more importantly for the customer, response times just plummet. They go from hours, sometimes even days, down to seconds.
Okay, but this brings up the big concern, doesn't it? If AI is handling 40% of the work, what happens to the human support agents?
This is such a critical point, and it's a common misunderstanding of the goal. The goal isn't replacement, it's elevation. By having AI take over all that high-volume, low-value work, the order lookups, the return labels, it frees up your human team.
So they can focus on the harder problems.
They are elevated to focus solely on the high-touch issues, the emotionally complex problems, the weird edge cases, the relationship-critical situations that genuinely require human empathy and creative problem-solving. It lets your people do the strategic work that builds loyalty instead of just copying and pasting tracking numbers all day.
There's that great e-commerce case study that showed this perfectly. They used AI specifically for order lookups and return authorizations, which are the two biggest time sinks for any online retailer.
And what's so powerful about that example is the before and after contrast. Before, the support team was described as drowning in repetitive tasks. They were totally reactive, completely stressed out.
Just trying to clear the queue.
Just trying to keep your heads above water. Afterwards, by using AI as a true strategic asset, they didn't just see operational costs drop. They saw a measurable spike in their customer satisfaction scores. because customers got instant answers to common problems, and when they did need a person, that person was available, focused, and not totally overwhelmed.
So, whether we're talking about internal stuff like onboarding or external things like customer support, the core lesson is the same. Success depends entirely on viewing AI as systemic infrastructure.
That's the thread that connects everything. The case studies all illustrate that same thesis. The real value of AI isn't in some isolated tool for one department. It's in its ability to underpin the entire operation and create a model that's actually designed for scale.
It's not about saving 5 minutes on one task.
No. The value is building systems that fundamentally transform how work gets done across the whole business. That's what allows a company to absorb massive growth, to double your sales, without having to double the number of people doing basic administrative work. It gives you a stable, resilient architectural base to grow from.
So, what does this all mean for you listening to this? The strategic takeaway feels incredibly clear. You have to stop thinking of AI as this optional tool that you can just layer on top of your existing operational mess. You have to use it as the foundational architecture that actually cleans up the mess underneath.
It's a huge commitment. It requires a strategic decision to build intelligent systems that structurally remove the need for that constant manual human intervention in your most critical workflows.
So the big question then is, how do you actually start? How do you begin that architectural shift in a practical way?
The sources give a really clear and I think challenging directive. You have to conduct an honest, process-by-process evaluation of your own business. You have to identify exactly where you or your most valuable people are the bottleneck, the point where a human is only stepping in to connect two systems or to confirm data that's already there.
And once you find that bottleneck,
Then the goal isn't just to buy a tool to automate it. The goal is to leverage AI to design a whole new intelligent system that completely removes the need for any human involvement in that decision path from now on.
right, this isn't about that old cliche of doing more with less, which just leads to burnout.
Not at all. It's about doing more with what you already have, but smarter. It's about committing to building a resilient, automated, and fully integrated architecture.
And I suppose this also implies a big challenge in reskilling your teams.
It absolutely does. Once this architecture is built, your team members won't be performing those manual tasks anymore. Their job becomes managing, monitoring, and continuously improving the intelligent systems you've built. It's a necessary and really important shift in expertise.
That is the perfect final thought to leave you with. AI isn't some far-off future that you're just passively waiting for. It's the present-day structure of any modern, scalable business. The opportunity right now is to start just dipping your toe in with basic features and start using AI as the strategic backbone of your entire enterprise.
So I'd encourage you to think about this today. Identify that single most manual, repetitive, and human-dependent process in your current workflow. And use that architectural weak spot as the starting point for your own systemic transformation.